Don't wanna close my eyes.
Don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, babe.
That is a hit. That is a hit.
It is a hit. Let's let the real singer sing it.
Wasn't that the... Oh, wow. All right, asshole. Shit. But wasn't that movie also about the same thing? Like they had to take nukes into a meteor?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think
Only
we discussed
they
this
actually
on
landed
Oh,
on the
we did.
meteor.
Okay, all right.
And they,
my bad.
they drilled a hole, and then Bruce Willis had to die.
Yes, correct. I recently started watching Community. I don't know if you guys have seen that show from start to finish.
No, but I can hear you laughing to it.
I've heard of it. I
Holy
haven't actually
shit!
seen it.
It's like I watched it back when it started. I think it was like 2008 or 2009, maybe 2010. But it is so fucking funny. They make fun of every single type of movie show, TV show, like everything. They make fun of everything, and each episode has a specific style to it that pertains to like them making fun of that kind of movie or show.
Oh, really?
So like,
wow.
There's an episode where, for example, they are the school is competing with a neighboring community college, that
Okay.
and they want to be the first school to have a space flight simulator on campus.
Okay.
So their school, Greendale, the guy, the dean, he gets this like shitty old KFC truck that I guess like in the 80s for them, like in the 80s there was this big thing where like some KFCs had these KFC space simulators in the parking lots. And kids would like go and like, you know, pretend like they're in space in these like simulators, which are basically just a truck that's decorated to look like a spaceship.
Okay.
But so what they did was the guy gets a really old shitty one and gets the whole group of the main characters he makes them as a punishment clean it. But the problem is they go inside it and they get locked in. But the best part about it is that they get locked into it and one of them gets locked out. Like he stayed outside.
Okay.
And so then the neighboring school, while they're locked into it, they, you know, want to sabotage the event. So they go get a tow truck and they tow the ship out like away. But while the ship is moving, technically, they're inside. They can't see where they're going because there's no windows, and they're locked in. So they're all freaking out. So it makes it seem like you're watching the episode and you're like, holy shit, this is like it's like in Armageddon where they're like, or Apollo 11 or Apollo 13, where they're like in this ship and there's only a communication they have is a walkie-talkie that's inside the ship. Right. So they're communicating with the guy who was left out, who's in the dean's office, and he's like, the dean's like, how do you know how they can get out? And he said, yes, I've studied. When I was a kid, I used to want to go into the spaceship so much, but my dad wouldn't let me. So I studied everything about it. So he knows like everything that's inside the spaceship without having ever been inside it. So he's basically like Houston, and he's telling them like, all right, guys, do this, hit this knob, turn that knob, and they're all like inside, like doing everything. And all this was just to open a window, because inside there's like a game, and if you win the game, the window opens on the ship. So then that way they can see outside where they are and tell them where they can go pick them up. So the whole thing is like this whole big thing. They finally make it back to the campus for the event that was at 3 when like the cameras were going to be there and they were going to like, you know, show the simulator. And they're like, they finally make it. They drive the truck and they get there and it's like smoking because it's like old and shitty. And like the door opens and it's like smoking, so it looks like they just landed. It looks like these are astronauts that just landed on Earth, and like the crowd is there and they're like walking slow motion out of like the simulator with like the gas and everything. It's hilarious. It's so fucking funny.
I could see that playing out into being amazing.
Yeah. They do that. They do that with so many different kind of episodes. Like there's an episode where they do paintballing and the whole school is fighting each other via paintball. So obviously, you know, it's like a war episode.
A war type thing.
So it's so fucking good. But yeah, so welcome to the show.
Oh, we are live.
We're
As
live.
I finish my little community rant.
Ramel, what episode number are we on?
57.
This is 50. I feel like we've been on 57 for like 5 episodes.
No, 56 was last episode. Remember we went on that very long hiatus.
Right.
And now we're on 57.
And now we're on 57.
We are 3 episodes away from 60.
Remember what was the second false promise that we made about when we were going to start going visually live?
55.
60, 65, but now
No, that was
we
the
have
ori-
a
that was
reason
the
not to
fi-
commit to that.
no.
55 was the first lie.
50 was the first.
55 was the second
55
lie.
was the second lie.
All right.
And then the third lie is supposed to be 60, 65, but
We
with this
got bailed out on
quarantine
this
happening, who
one
knows?
because of this pandemic.
65. I think 65 could have 8 weeks, right?
yeah, I mean, I would hope that in 8 weeks this fucking quarantine is over, or at least it's a little more relaxed where we can at least possibly, yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, it really just comes down to no vaccine, no social gatherings. Like that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sadly.
it's about
Yeah.
right.
So I think we're 2020 is not happening. So let's get back. Let's deal with our lives. But want to know what this has also taught me is that like holy shit, I'm a hermit. I think I already said this like last week, but like it's not hurting me so bad because I'm like this isn't too different from like what I normally do.
Right. Yeah, it's been tough.
different.
It's kind of I was fine up until like maybe a couple days ago,
Yeah, I could hear it.
but
I think
it's just
it's weird because you really do start missing like the small things that you literally took for granted. It's
Yeah. It's tough to like get up and know that like you have to do the same thing you do every single day that day.
it's literally Groundhog Day. Every day is Groundhog Day.
It's tough. It's starting to take a toll on me mentally. But hey, you got to fight through it. I was like, you know what? A couple days ago, I was like, the only way that I can get through this is if I start doing something like painting, because then I know that at least every time that I'm painting, even though I'm doing the same thing, I'm not painting the same thing over and over again.
Exactly. You'll see progress.
I'm making progress on something that eventually will have an end goal. And then once that's done, if this isn't over, then I can just start another painting.
You start it again.
So it's just, it's really, really.
I've wanted to get
Getting
back
annoying.
into reading books so bad, but Fico, I kid you not, I go all out to like lamps on. I got a blanket. I got a book. I've made the pillows. I sit down. I open the book and immediately close and go, nope, it's not working. It's not working. I
So
can't
what you're
focus
saying
on
is
it long enough.
You still haven't finished Stephen King's It, is what you're saying.
Holy shit! First of all, why'd you have to expose me like that?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
sad.
anytime I hear about you reading, it's usually about that damn book.
Here's a problem with that book, and like this is want to know why I stopped and why I can't keep going. I hate the adult section of that book.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with the adult versions of them is not good. I don't care about the abusive husband. I don't care about the abusive. I don't care about that. I don't care about the director with the fucking celebrity wife. Like it just doesn't matter to me. But when they're kids, like when they're little, like 5th, 6th graders, like with little kid issues, and there's a fucking killer clown monster that like eats other, and like the book is so descriptive of when he eats kids in the park. Like Stephen King doesn't give a shit. It's like child violence to the nth degree. Maybe it means I'm a psycho, but like it makes for interesting reading. Like you're not going to put it down.
Right.
I'm not kidding. There's one of the kid deaths is a kid with like a drunk abusive father or stepfather, and he runs away from home because like he can't take like the violence and shit anymore. And tough luck, kid. Doesn't stop tonight. You just wound up in a park, and guess who's here? You're dead. Not only did you try to escape your abusive home, but now guess what? Now guess what you get? A monster's stomach. You're dead.
wild.
Right.
He rips his head. Like the book describes it ripping his
Yikes.
head off. It's so good. It's so good. But then then it goes, oh fuck, we're back into the adult
And we're
section. Son of a bitch.
Yep. I recently, so what I've been trying to do also is like, I've been trying to find old school movies that I haven't seen, and some that I have, and then just trying to get myself to watch some of these movies that are like classics. Like I'm gonna probably watch Shawshank.
That's on
Redemption
Netflix
tomorrow.
now, right? I think I came across it the other day. I thought about watching it.
I saw it and I was like, you know what, this is a good movie for me to watch. It kills like 2 hours of the day. What I've been doing the past week, I watched all 4 Indiana Jones movies one per day. And it's nice because you kind of, what I've been telling myself is, all right, like around 6, 7 o'clock, I got to make dinner. I'll watch a movie and then go back to like doing what I'm doing, or I'll play video games after. But like, it's just kind of just like getting yourself used to the routine. And boy, are those Indiana Jones
I haven't seen those in such a long time.
Gab, of course, had never seen them.
To jump on there.
What?
I've never seen a single Indiana Jones movie, and then as I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, this has a lot of those classic Hollywood cliches, but then I realize, no, I think this is the one that started those cliches.
Right. I mean, they definitely got a bunch of stuff, because like obviously Hollywood didn't start the year that they made Indiana Jones. Like there was like a lot of like cowboy movies.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
A bunch of shit. But this one is like one of the originators in like this swashbuckling adventure,
swashbuckling adventure. Write that down.
This guy, he's just like he's like this. You hadn't really seen a hero type of guy like this, and I think that's why people gravitated towards this movie towards these movies.
He was he was like an American Bond.
Yeah. It was like plus you add the genius of like them adding the history.
I think
to
that's
it,
what grabbed
and
me.
Right.
A little bit of like and like a little bit of like the mystery and like the
Yeah, but wanna know what else those movies added? A lot of dumb bitch juice.
Yeah, Gab was
I could not
constantly complaining about that.
The blonde leads.
Although he did not see the first movie, which is like the one movie that doesn't have a blonde leading lady that's like dumb
as rocks. Like Temple of Doom lady, I'm like, sweetheart, you need to get some Lipton iced tea, sit down and reflect. What is going on?
She would go on to marry Steven Spielberg. I was telling Gab that the other day as well. So she really only she was only the girl in that movie, the leading girl in that movie was really only famous for that movie, and then eventually I think a decade later married Steven Spielberg.
The one have you seen all of them?
I haven't
Pico?
seen. I don't think I've seen the fourth one, and that's not. Is that the remake?
Okay, but you've seen the third one with Elsa.
Yeah, that's the one I have not.
Yeah, that's the fourth one.
That's the fourth one. Yeah.
The third one has, of course, your beautiful blonde lead, and towards the end of the movie, like the Holy Grail, it's like, well, someone's got to fall into the temptation of this thing. Who's it? Show of hands. Who's it going to be? Oh, the only woman here. Okay, great. So she's got the cup, and she's like, Indy, we got it. We got it. And I'm like, yeah, of course she's drunk with power. Of course she's the one that's and then like she does this, like, I'm like, guys, you could at least have rehearsed this a little better. She drops the cup as like the temple's like shaking and becoming unstable. And the way she drops it is so like, oops. And like, sweetie, just bend over, politely pick it up, and then we got it. But she's kicking it out of her way.
Hold on. In defense of the movie. Hold on. Gab did not watch the entire movie. He was in and out of the movie. So he missed the very large scene before all of that where her dad, who was the actual villain, who was the reason that they were drunk, that they were looking for this fucking thing, drank from the Holy Grail because he thought he was the one that was going to get all the eternal life. And then he drank from the wrong cup and he turned into a skeleton immediately and died.
But what does that have to do with her piss poor hand-eye coordination?
Well, I mean, I was just saying in defense of the only giving her the drunk power, which really they gave her and her dad the main reason dad.
All right, true, like sure, but at the same time, like it just, and also like but here's the other problem: when she's inches from her doom, hanging on by a thread. And the Holy Grails, they're like on the edge of a cliff.
Yes.
And then India's like, give me your other hand, Elsa. Give it to me. And then she's like, but the Grail. I was like, bitch. It's death or it's life or death right now. Fuck the cup. It is a cup. You already saw your daddy get turned into a skeleton. Just give him the other hand, regain your footing, and then maybe try again. Let's like reevaluate.
It's the hunger for wanting eternal life, Gab. It's not just men or women. It's all.
I know, but it's all right. Fine. Let's go back.
That, Indiana Jones did the same.
Let's go back to Exhibit B. Let's go back to. Let's go. Everyone, get your passports. Let's go back to the Temple of Doom. Let's go back to the Temple of Doom.
Yes. The worst movie I will give you is Temple of Doom in terms of women in Hollywood. That one I'll give you. Yes, they clearly made her a dumb bimbo.
Throwing out the bimbo line. I like it.
Very clear.
But you want to know what? Elsa had a great haircut. We can't take that away from her. She had a great haircut.
Who?
Elsa in the third one.
Oh.
She came with that red lip and that haircut, and I was like, oh, it's over.
At least what they did, and I was telling this to Gab yesterday too when we were watching the fourth one, is that it's very obvious that the first Indiana Jones came out. They had him with the brown hair, the brunette leading lady, who they then bring back for the fourth. And she was the only one out of all the girls in the three movies that actually stood her ground with Indiana and was like fuck you, like I'm not gonna just listen to you just because you're an attractive guy.
Right.
So
that's Raiders, right?
That's
Raiders
the
one.
I have to see that. That's the one I've seen. I saw the order I saw was 2, 3, 4, and now I have to see.
Yeah, you should
1.
see 1 because 1 is obviously the OG. But I think what they did was Hollywood saw 1, the success of 1, and they were like, all right, for 2, let's just get him a hot leading lady, some hot blonde chick.
Who just wants to smash?
Because that's gonna bring people to the theater. They're gonna see cool Indiana Jones with a hot chick.
Yeah,
that's how it
works.
Yeah, you can't have it. Yeah, you can't have cool
that's the
Indiana
formula.
Jones with a regular looking sidekick girl that's
who has her own thoughts, speaks her mind, has actual things of merit and value. No, you can't do that.
So then,
absolutely not.
Right. So then for three, they're like, let's maybe change it up and make the hot blonde a villain. And then for obviously decades later, they're like, okay, now let's bring back the OG because she was the one that should have been with Indy the whole time. And then they kind of closed the circle, which was really nice. Although I would love for them to continue the movies, and they should have just kept going with Shia LaBeouf as Indiana Jones, the next one. And I would have still loved them because what I love about the movies and what makes me happy about the movies is the aspect of it being kind of like
National Treasure.
Treasure.
I knew that's where we're gonna go.
Where it's like they're looking for clues and they're like, oh my God, but what does this tablet say and all these things. Then there's clues in the walls and then there's buttons that you press and then you get to a treasure and it's sick.
But those are also elements that were incorporated into the classic the Goonies. It was the same kind of treasure.
Goonies, yes.
It's the same formula. And you want to know what? I know I'm saying this live, and I should probably get this copyrighted before. But I would love a Netflix show or a Disney Plus show or something like that. I just personally, this sounds really pedophile, but sorry. I like kid casts because kids do say the darndest things,
right?
And you can get really crazy kind of characters in children, but
stuff,
doing that kind of stuff, like stumbling into treasure hunts or doing that kind of stuff, but with also just the petty, sassy arguments you get from children, which the Goonies had a lot of.
For that reason, I think.
Oh hell yeah! Spy Kids was dope. I wanted that that submarine thing so bad.
Yeah. Or even Harriet the Spy was good too.
Was that Michelle Trachtenberg?
Harriet the Spy was good too.
Yeah, Harriet the Spy.
Yeah, you got her writing all the things in the notebook and then figuring out what's going on.
All the people's privacy she's invading.
Right.
So good.
I just think that it's I agree with Gab. It's nice to have an ensemble that's a kid cast. It'd be cool to have a cast kind of like how they did with the Good Boys, where it's an R-rated.
That was awesome.
Group of kids.
Yes,
and they're still doing Goonie type of adventures, but it's more
exactly.
But they curse.
It's R-rated, so it's the realistic. It's what they're really doing.
Adult verbiage.
Yeah,
and let's be real. That's kind of the adventure I think all people as kids wanted to have.
Right.
They all wanted to go, but like, let's be real, we cursed and we did a lot of things we weren't supposed to after the age of 10. And I think to see that in that context, like you said, like Good Boys, but with those elements of like Goonies or Indiana Jones, that would be a great program.
Yeah, I'm honestly, it's an interesting thing looking at movies now, like kids movies. What kids movies are like the Goonies now?
To be,
you know what I mean? Like you don't really get you don't get a lot of kid ensemble cast movies that are like the likes of Goonies.
I was gonna say, like,
you know, Mighty Ducks. Like you don't get those kind of things.
Oh, there's a real fun one that no one talks about. It's also from the 80s. It's called Monster Squad. Please watch it.
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but
it's the same kind of like little potty mouthed kids, but they're all up against in one town like iconic monsters, like the swamp monster, like the creature from the deep, Dracula, the werewolf. I think the mummy's in it. The wives of Dracula, like, and they're all in one town. It's a really fun movie.
I think they got to go back to that in Hollywood with kid cast.
Yeah, but Universal botched that. Oh, you mean like in terms of yeah. But
basically, like that group of kids that like did like the Mighty Ducks movies, Sandlot, like there was like bits and pieces, heavyweights, like all those kids. That they were like in almost every movie, like pick and plug each person.
Yeah. They were just hiring all the same kids.
I can't think off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a few, but I can't think of off the top of my head. Are there any like movies geared towards kids that are actually like live action with people, or are they all like Disney Pixar things? Like I can't think of a movie right now that has like live
That's
action.
actually a really good question.
Right.
I feel like someone's out of the 5 people listening, they're probably yelling, like saying, like, "Of course there is." But I can't think of one off the top of my head.
At 17 Waverly Pod, hit us up. Let us know what we're missing.
I'm really like I'm stumped in that I can't go back far enough because obviously Good Boys is not a kids movie.
No,
it's kids in it, but it's rated R.
Yeah. It's funny because you're hearing these kids say things they shouldn't be saying.
But I don't consider that a kids movie. So
no,
I go back.
Although
further,
I do.
I go back further and I think, okay, well, I mean,
I'm as far.
All I'm thinking about is cartoons, like Pixar type things. You're saying.
I'm thinking of like Snow Day.
I would even like
the last thing I can remember with actually kids in it, and I know there's got to be something after that.
Well, that's true. The early 2000s did give us some stuff.
Right.
I would even like just something that Monster Squad does feel like a little bit Scooby-Doo. It does. I think that Scooby-Doo set up, like, why has that property been able to last this fucking long? It's because I think there's something great about, this sounds stupid, but kids getting into trouble.
Right.
Like that's just a fun time as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like the kids movies that are like the best kids movies from in the past decade. You've got Frozen, Inside Out, Big Hero 6, Coco, How to Train Your Dragon. These are all
animated. Yeah, they're all animated.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Do you think they're like seeing like all the damage they did to young Hollywood, like Amanda Bynes and like all them, and they're like, maybe we should just stop fucking casting kids in movies. Fucking shit.
Well, unless maybe they're just casting kids for TV shows. But even then, there isn't even that many TV shows that are out that.
Oh, a lot of them were television actors before they were in film.
Yeah, no, I think that's really fucking sad.
The only one that I'm seeing, and is the only one that makes sense, is Dora the Explorer. That, and then like obviously, I guess Dora you could put in like any of the live action Disney movies now that have to actually have real people in them. I guess that, but Dora the Explorer is the last one I could like now just think of that actually has like an all kid cast, and it makes sense.
Right.
I
mean, look at this: '90s child films, Home Alone. Sandlot, Doubtfire had kids, Matilda kids,
Hook, right?
You got Hook, all kids, almost all kids.
But I think there are still like little kid movies, just not in the avenue that we would want to see. Like I'm talking about like that real shitty thing that parents want to take a shot before taking their kids to go see in theaters,
right?
Before having to sit through it, like Dog Hotel or whatever the fuck that was. You remember that one?
Dog Hotel.
Like there was like dog hotel or some shit.
Oh, here we go. Here's the big one: Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That whole series, I guess you could.
Oh, that was the last one.
Yeah,
that I can think of Diary of a Wimpy Kid is the last kid ensemble movie, unless you consider the
but it's not geared towards children.
The first It movie. Again, that's not geared towards kids.
I mean, but my thing is like it doesn't. Well, yeah, it should be. But hold on, there's something unfair about this, is because we have to remember that even in the '80s, there was no PG-13. It was PG and R. Oh, right. So you got a lot of that in between stuff that would be in a PG movie that adults would take. I would assume adults would take kids to, and you'd have to see that shit. But there'd be some kind of violence in it. Actually, you know what? What kind of a comic book fan am I? Shazam.
Okay. Superhero movie, yeah. What works? That works.
Shazam was basically a kids ensemble, and that's actually
Shazam. Yeah.
That's the one thing about that movie that really stood out to me, is how much it did feel like a throwback to that genre. There were, even though it's for kids, they pushed the envelope a little with some kind of dark violence. Like that boardroom scene, and I'm like, yes, this is the shit kids need to be exposed to.
And kids need a movie that'll give them this one good cuss word in it, because you always got that one cuss word. Whether it's like in Sandlot, it's him saying shit when the beast jumps over the fence. Like you need to expose the kids that early. Dennis the Menace, you got heavy petting going on between the babysitter and her boyfriend. Like you expose the kids to that stuff,
At the same time, we say like these films aren't geared towards kids, but let's be real. I don't know how I'm sure that it's evolved now with technology, but we can all remember back as being kids with these movies. Half the fun was sneaking behind your parents' back, trying to get the cassette or the VHS, or trying to figure out a way to see it without them knowing. Like we got the rated R movie. And like we're trying to watch it like something that you're not supposed to be seeing. Like that was kind of a very, at least for me, a big chunk of enjoying
that's a good
movies.
Call. Because I remember vividly wanting to watch Scream when it came out, and when I saw that it was going to be on pay-per-view, I snuck downstairs. I put a video cassette in the VCR, and I recorded it like at night. So like when like my parents were sleeping, I had it recording. So the next day, I had it ready to go, and that was it. Like we bring it to a sleepover, like we're gonna watch Scream tonight, and that was the fun of it. Being able to
it made that stuff way more special.
Bit. And then but then I remember back that my parents basically made me watch The Godfather when I was 5 years old. So I probably could have just asked them to watch.
This is your history. Cool. Sit down, son.
True. What are your top 5 kid ensemble movies?
Can we do top 5's hard? We just do top 3.
Top 3, fine.
Bronze, fine. Silver, gold.
Kid ensemble. So, The Mighty Ducks 1, Sandlot 2, Little Giants 3. Actually, I have to put heavyweights in.
The sports trifecta.
Can't do that to that solid cast.
Yeah, I'd probably go Sandlot 1. Heavyweights 2, and God, I really do like the Goonies though.
I'm basing it on how many times I've legitimately watched this, even now as a grown ass man, being like, I want to watch this movie, and I'll put the rewatchability factor is through the roof.
Right. Always the number one factor when you're ranking movies or actors or whatever, it's rewatchability.
Yeah, rewatchability is the key factor.
The ability to
want to engage that story again or engage the experience.
Definitely one.
It's tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah. Sandlot 1, Heavyweights 2, and 3. I'm gonna go with. Damn, that's tough. This is a tough one.
There's also I feel there's a very big elephant in the room, or something that we're not acknowledging here, that is actually super crucial to our lifetimes.
Continue.
The Harry Potter movies?
Oh, wow.
You know what? Movies. Did not think of it. Probably should have.
Because on my top 3, one of the
Richie Rich is my third.
Nice, Macaulay.
That's a
Richie Rich is my third.
Touche. That's an important one. Nothing like kids being exposed to money. Like it's just like
it's just the whole them being poor and then showing up to his house and then playing
the McDonald's.
You have your own McDonald's.
It's just so sick. Then they go on the adventure together to beat the bad guy, and they're going through all the house. They make the fucking fountain, with bubbles and soap. It's just, the whole thing is awesome. I've seen it a million times.
Wait, guys, there's kids in it, but is it a kids on Jumanji?
Yeah. I would say so.
Does that count, or is that? I don't think that counts.
I wouldn't because the main character
is Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, then I won't count.
So
that.
The two kids are like side characters.
Right.
If you're talking kids ensemble,
nice.
Three Ninjas.
Good call.
Three Ninjas. What else?
That's a big one. Three Ninjas.
Matilda technically is ensemble because even though the mom and dad are obviously parents in the Trunch Bowl, it's all kids that are up against
mean people.
These classrooms.
I agree. I think, but Matilda as more of, it's not throughout. I think you get that kid unity more towards the end, but it's more about her relationship with her family and Miss Honey.
True.
And the Trunch Bowl. So I think she's more like a singular child character.
True.
As opposed to like a group.
Right.
So for me, I think one of gonna sound like a Fantasia but I think the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first book I ever read as a kid. So that movie from the 2000s is definitely on my top 3. I think I'll put that third.
Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Wow, yeah, that's good.
Lion, the Witch, and the
Wow.
That's a good one. I think my number 2 would have to be Goonies.
I tell you what, I don't think I give Goonies the respect that it deserves. Guys?
Secret Garden.
I need to try to make it through that. I think I've only watched it 2 times.
The Goonies. The Goonies.
No, Ramel just fucked up my math.
The Goonies is definitely top 5 at least.
It's.
Ramel just fucked up my math.
I really have to give it another shot.
He said Secret Garden. Shit, fuck you.
Just same thing. Hated that. What was that? What was that trash? What was that trash?
Excuse me.
Hated that film. Hated it.
Oh my god!
I hate Indian in the Cupboard.
Great film.
I hated Indian in the Cupboard.
The kid is such a pussy.
Oh man, wait a minute! I just remembered this movie Camp Nowhere. Camp Nowhere was basically when you're growing up, that's what you wanted summer camp to be.
Oh my god!
No rules.
Honey, I Shrunk the
Jack.
Kids.
Is a good one.
No, Jack is not a good one.
Jack is a good one.
No.
It's really sad.
Yeah,
you just
want to hug your mom after done watching that.
It's a great kid ensemble cast.
Well, other than the treehouse stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very.
Yeah, Hook.
Kidding me? Hook
probably makes the top 5.
Hook
has to.
Hook breaks my heart too.
What?
Yeah, shit. Where have these movies been in the last 10 years? What the fuck?
Hook.
Because a lot of these movies that we're talking about are before 2010.
Right. That's what I'm saying, man. I think that's a big thing that Hollywood is missing right now. It's that.
I think Netflix. Oh wow! Actually, we're fucking assholes. Stranger Things.
Not a film though. Not a film.
There it is. That's what the 5 people listening to this are going. You fucking idiot!
Stranger
Things is that
streaming TV series.
Oh, but let me.
It is not
it's not a movie. It's a TV show. I also will say.
On Nickelodeon.
I'm also going to say, just as an aside on that comment really quickly, I'm going to say something really controversial. For me, Stranger Things was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, the first season was obviously the best one. They probably could have stopped.
The first season was iconic, and then following that, it's well, how do we keep this going? Is how it felt to me. And season 3 kind of in my opinion, the 4th season, the upcoming 4th season, whenever that comes out, should be its last. I don't see what else you can... I think they're trying to do that character development thing which is the hook, right? That was the hook for Harry Potter, seeing these kids age, grow up, find themselves in their relationships. But there's no way for them. I see them struggling to find a way to keep the monster thing feeling original.
How many fucking times is this monster going to come back?
And 11 be the one that has to save it.
Yeah.
I don't. Everyone else doesn't even feel supporting to that.
Unless you give me another kid
with powers.
Well, I don't give a shit.
Which is Will does kind of have those abilities as he's able to connect with that monster, but they're not visually impressive powers like fucking 11.
I think if they give me Will having powers in season 4, I may stick around for a season 5.
Season 3, in my opinion, was a lot better.
And also, they tried it. They're like, "Ooh, we killed Harper." I'm like, "No, you didn't." No, you didn't. You didn't kill Harper.
Oh, and that was obvious. Yeah, he's in the fucking trailer for season 4 or the teaser. Whatever
if your show has to do a fake death tease, it means you're running out of ideas and you don't want to keep this ship afloat. That's just me. I don't. Death should be permanent.
I would respect the show more if they actually killed off Hopper.
I would too. When I saw he died before that stupid bullshit at the end, like who's in the jail cell in Russia?
Yeah,
I'm like, it's Hopper. But if they actually committed to that death, respect. I think death is real. Death is not a thing you can recycle. It should be permanent when it happens. And art should mirror. I think to the most part, mirror something real. And
I think Game of Thrones taught us like that brand of television now, where
anyone can die.
Anyone should be able to be. Any character should be available
Everyone's
for
expendable,
death
basically,
in a show. Right. So I think that because of that and because of what Game of Thrones did to television at that period of time when it was at its peak and like killing people off, I think now we have that taste of like I'm watching a show and at any moment it can give me that shock value of holy shit, this main character is dead. And I respect that. I almost respect it. At first, when you're watching Game of Thrones, you're thinking, fuck, why would this show do this to me? But now I'm like, as a viewer, I'm just thinking, I feel like we should get some kind of shock value here. You get kind of bored of just the same 6 people doing the same thing over and over and over again. Give me something. Give me a big major death. Kill off one of the goddamn kids if you have to.
Because death shakes not just like the trajectory of the story, but it shakes characters.
Yeah.
It changes people.
Right.
So it would, and even by the end of season 3, you saw that like geographically on the map, it was going to change a lot of things because now they're moving out of town. Now Elle has to move in with. So even just in terms of how these characters connect with each other and interact, it changes them.
Right.
But now it's like, just kidding, we're bringing back Hop. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it's definitely fallen off, and we'll see. I mean, but anyway, so yeah, that is a good children ensemble cast.
Season 1. That first season is really about. It was such an ode to that genre.
Right.
But I don't want necessarily odes. I want it to just be back.
Yeah. I don't want to. I want it to get phased back.
Don't set it in the 80s per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like make something modern day with the elements of that genre.
Stories,
like now.
Kid casts. Let them have at it, get into trouble, whatever. Save the day.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay if it's similar. Like if you give me a kids looking for some kind of treasure movie, I'd rather that than
wait a minute. Let's just don't give us Legends of the Hidden Temple the movie. Don't do that. To make it good.
That was some bullshit.
Right.
Let's preface.
One what I've even thought of, Ramel, like
don't give us 3 kids playing the game. Legends of the Hidden Temple. Give us an actual like a group of kids that goes on this adventure through somehow, some way to find this treasure that leads to Olmec or whatever the fuck his name is.
One what I'm really surprised about, and this is kind of like an aside from American film, I'm just thinking in terms of like Hispanic cultures. Even living here in Jersey City, my mind, everyone knows, like, I like to write stories, and like, so my mind's constantly always in the back burner thinking of like fiction or potential for fiction. And I think even living in Jersey City or where we're from in Venezuela, apartment buildings and how everyone's kind of stacked up on top of each other. And I think about, Ramel, from that context, like kids growing up in that kind of really confined space, how you all are close to one another, not just in terms of how you hang out, but you're literally living in the same.
Right.
And like do you remember, like, if you want to go visit a friend back home, you got to call to the window and see if someone answers, or throwing a pebble, and that kind of geography. And then I think too, what we're talking about with kids saying the darndest things, or the things of how funny that is. In Hispanic culture, is like kids drop some serious fucking F-bombs.
Absolutely.
And they're super foul-mouthed.
Absolutely.
And I'm surprised that the Latin market or even Hispanic filmmakers haven't thought to do a project like that with kids, especially like I would think barrio kids, because they love they love to highlight the struggles of El Barrio and like the poverty and the hardship.
Cool like,
but they're still kids, and kids still have fun in those in our neighborhood. So I think that would have been such a cool
closest
thing
we've gotten to that is I think Children of God or something like that.
Yeah, but that was not an adventure.
That was not an adventure. That was not a kid's movie.
That was a kid
really
shooting a kid.
Real. Yeah,
that was too much. That was
what the fuck's that? The movie Kids. You ever seen that movie? It's like them like growing up in New York. It's like the kids are just doing like messed up stuff. Oh man.
No, I don't think I've.
I feel like I've heard of this.
That is I don't want to say it's a cult classic, but it's definitely a movie that you should watch. It's definitely not like a kids movie, but it's just like kids being kids in like an urban environment, and it's really freaking good.
Right.
It was like it's like I think it's an NC-17 movie. In fact, it came out in the I think the early '90s. The only reason why I have it is because I got it.
I feel like I vaguely know what you're talking about,
and I popped it in. I was like, this movie is iconic.
The movie.
It's called
the movie
Kids.
Is called Kids.
Yeah, I've heard of this movie. It came out in 1995. I've vaguely seen this movie. It was like banned or something in a lot of.
Oh.
Remember, it has a 46% Rotten Tomato score.
And
so I don't know what
you see like in the write up, like one of the subplots is this kid's trying to like hook up with virgins, but not tell them that he's got AIDS.
Oh yeah.
And like it's really dark, hilarious. But it's a really good film.
Yeah, man. I really think that in this period of time, I think Hollywood is really missing the
kid dynamic.
They're really missing that. I mean, there's a lot of things that Hollywood is missing. All we've been getting is remakes.
There's no like originality anymore, unfortunately.
But I would hope that this quarantine too, honestly, could be a positive in terms of creativity, because you've got a lot of people that are at home where they're forced to bunker down, and I have to assume that out of this, we're going to get a lot of projects, a lot of creative things that people are thinking of or thought of now that they actually have the time to sit down and create. You know, you would assume that a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. Like, I need to do something to give myself to distract myself, an outlet. So I have to assume that there's got to be a lot of these big time writers or directors or even these young guys that haven't made a big break, that are writing something
that could definitely touch
incredible now, writing something good. That when this is all said and done, there's going to be a lot of creative things that we'll be able to see, which is I hope. I'm entirely guessing on this, but that's what I would.
I mean, I know for a fact it's a different media form, but I know that that Stephen King has altered his writing. Like he was in the middle of a novel or starting a novel, and he's totally now gearing this novel towards the whole virus and everything like that. So that that right there, that's going to be an exciting thing to drop.
Oh yeah, you know Stephen King is about to whip up some serious virus shit.
If he's doing something, I mean, obviously novels is his thing. But if he could be writing something for Hulu or something like that, like a series type thing, that'd be awesome to have.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, not to segue out of this, but while we're talking about film and the future of what people are creating right now, what we could potentially see down the road, we know, unfortunately, as very devoted members to the AMC Stubs Pass, that AMC will likely go bankrupt because they were already in the weeds before this happened. They were already not doing well. So they'll likely go bankrupt in the midst of the whole coronavirus thing. So I'm thinking, is it Regal?
I think there's Clearview, there's Regal.
Regal is the other one.
And there's isn't there a TriStar or something
Lowe's,
like that?
I believe.
Oh, my bad. So there's many other film companies.
There's a bunch. I think Bowtie is still one of them too, but Bowtie is much smaller.
Is what Clearview is now. Or they merged.
Yes.
Then why the fuck is AMC doing so bad and the other ones are all right?
I think they're just the ones that are outright discussing it.
Oh, so the other ones are probably not.
I think there's no way that AMC would be going bankrupt.
They're
not
the biggest
one.
And they're in the limelight.
I mean, because the thing is,
pass and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think AMC and Regal are the two biggest.
Right.
I think.
I think they are too, but it's like this is likely all of 2020, and if your companies aren't making any money,
right?
Then how do you come back after this? So my question is, what happens? Because we've already heard of some movies that have made the transition from theaters to streaming. That New Kids Trolls movie is one of them.
Yeah.
That now released for streaming. So like Wonder Woman, Black Widow, the New Mutants movie, these new films that were supposed to release in the summer, inevitably, are they going to go to streaming? And I feel my thing with that is because those are kind of like predestined blockbusters.
Right.
If they go to streaming, are we kind of putting the white blindfold on theaters and telling them to turn around? Like, is that
right? I mean, it's tough because I was thinking about this with sports too, Fico. It's if things like this open back up, it's gonna have to be at a very snail's pace.
Honestly, it's going to change the way this is going to change the way that we do anything or take in live event or anything, live entertainment.
100%. The world, this is changing everything no matter what, because what's his name? What's his name? Dr. Fauci or whatever. Fauci. He already came out and said, I don't think that we'll ever
just shaking hands again.
Shake hands ever again, right? Like that kind of statement.
I'm sorry, what?
He said, I don't recommend that we ever shake hands with people ever again.
That's such a novel thing, right? Like
that it's gonna. It seems like such a but like that's a big statement to make as a ever again. Like This is a changing thing. Like this is something that can completely changes the aspect of how we live our lives. A handshake is very simple, but in terms of like when we go out, even when things open back up, what the fuck are theaters and arenas and stadiums going to do? Are they going to have to change the architecture of how they build these things? Are they going to make all the seats now always 4 feet apart?
That's crazy.
No matter where you go. Like, these are things that are going to have to change.
But that seems so preemptive for more pandemics, because with this specific virus, once we have a vaccine, then that is to nullify this specific virus.
But their fear is there still isn't even really a vaccine technically.
No, that's
6 months to like 18 months.
Well, a regular vaccine takes about 12 months to 18 months. Right. Obviously, they're trying to accelerate this, but there are certain things you cannot accelerate, such as testing, waiting to see its effects, then studying after a certain period of time what that's done, if it worked at all. So there are certain things you can't accelerate. So I would say a year max. No, not a year max. A year minimum before we have
But their fears are that this is something that is bigger than just this flu. That it's something that a simple vaccine, giving everybody a vaccine isn't just going to cure that. It's like the people that are deathly sick, they're going to get the vaccine. It's going to help them, but the actual coronavirus isn't going away.
No, right. I mean, but the vaccine prevent in those that have not been infected.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying in terms of for future risk. Like, do we really need to have this giant upheaval?
I'm just hoping that it gets to the point where, like, you know how you have like a flu shot, you have a COVID type shot,
and then you're good.
We're probably years off from that, but it's just weird. I mean, I think we talked about it earlier in past episodes, that to get back on the AMC thing, we were looking at the existence of potentially theaters not being a thing. This has absolutely accelerated that process. So what do theaters do? Do theaters
for sure
start playing like old movies again? Like I don't know if there's going to be a comeback from this, especially if studios can just
because when we
skip the middleman and just sell
you're also
a $20 movie to somebody, but
you also have the issue of it's not just the social distancing, it's the matter of touching surfaces and stuff like that. So movie theaters is multiple seats in multiple butts and multiple seats throughout the day, hourly. So there's that whole risk to it as well.
They're going to literally have to. I mean, I'm thinking I'm going extra here in like I'm going a little extra sci-fi here. But like I'm game. Let's consider this a movie theater. I open up a movie theater in a year. And I want as many people to go to it as possible, but it also has to be as safe as possible. So you've got a movie theater where you've now gone from, let's say it's a 50-seat movie theater to 25. And then all the seats are spaced out, I would assume the distance of 6 feet.
That's crazy.
Or 4 feet or whatever you want to do, which is crazy in itself. But you obviously you get a huge building, right? You put these rooms in. And then you also have to have some kind of form of quickly cleaning it after each movie.
No, I know what's gonna. No, if something comes back at all, it's going to probably be a return to a 50 staple,
that
which is the drive-in.
That'd be awesome.
I mentioned that before in a previous episode.
Last week you did. That's the only way to actually do this.
Drive-in theaters are the only way that you can actually go see a movie within your own capsule, which is your car.
And the thing about drive-ins is like they're so limited because if weather sucks, well, we're not making any money tonight,
right?
Because who's gonna go? You're not gonna be able to see the screen.
Right.
So I think
unless
tent,
you make them in giant airplane type hangars.
Yeah.
Where you can fit a good amount of cars.
Yeah, but getting out of that is going to be a pain in the ass.
Obviously, that's a lot of logistics that you have to think of and how to set it up. But that is possible.
It is, yeah.
Where you have an indoor-ish drive-in
ventilation
theater
for the exhaust and stuff like that. That makes sense.
Right, you've got ventilation, so it's open. It's open huge on one end.
I'm sorry to stop. Could you imagine a dumb motherfucker makes a drive-in theater? It's literally a closed giant warehouse, and he closed the doors like, "Well, let's get this movie started." And it's just like 100 cars blowing exhaust into this small.
The movie ends and everyone is dead.
Didn't think this one over.
Jesus.
I just feel like that. I feel like something that could actually happen.
Well, in the range.
Yeah, I mean
something that could happen.
It honestly, like, it's gonna have to. They're gonna have to get very, very smart with what they do next.
If they want that kind of medium of entertainment to stay alive, but I don't.
I was seeing like arenas doing this right after they halted like NHL and NBA games. Some type of smoke or mist that they were spraying on all the seats that apparently can disinfect them or whatever.
Yeah,
or kill any pathogens.
Well,
that's a start. For like.
Yeah. What I was saying before when I was thinking of my extra sci-fi version of how do they do this, it would be not only would you space out the seats or create
your own little
cubicle bubbles for
each
pair. Right, for each pair of seats, you create like a bubble pair, and then you have inside these rooms these giant, like, or not giant, but like this system of gas,
like a fumigation of some kind,
like spray, that as soon as the movie ends, you hit that button and the entire room just becomes just this entire room of desterilized,
like vapor or something.
Oh yeah, kind of like a vegetables mister in the supermarket,
like that. You just it's like all right. That's how you disinfect 100%. Every single room.
Crazy fucking times. If that's what we have to do.
So then you've got people hired to just go in there and wipe the mist, which is actually the disinfectant, and on each seat. It's not just going to be a billion seats.
All right.
So you can hire someone to do that, and then that way, after each single movie, the whole room is disinfected, and you can bring in a whole another group of people. And that's just kind of like possibly what they could be doing, but
would anyone do? But I'm just speaking personally. I don't feel comfortable going somewhere like to go see a movie with like a mask on and like the disinfecting thing, and then those gloves. Which by the way, my hands get super sweaty in those things really quick, and it's uncomfortable as hell. So it
sucks, but I mean, I think it's gonna work. I really think it's gonna be something that we have to get used to.
I just think that I know they've postponed these big movie release dates, but look, I think at the end of the day, there's something. I know that there's trying to be like a solidarity for theaters.
Yeah, look at your bottom line.
But I think it comes to a point where you better put that fucking shit on streaming.
Just get Batman on a streaming service now.
That's what I said, man.
I filmed yet.
I set up a deal. Like if you're let's say if you're DC and you're making Wonder Woman, you're not going to make as much money now. It's over. You're not going to make the money you would have made had you put this in theaters.
It could launch with HBO Max.
That's exactly. Cut the loss, and just try to make at least your money back in a deal with a streaming service.
Right.
So if you spent $300 million to make this movie, give the movie to the streaming service and say, here's the movie for however many years or however many months you want to take the licensing rights to it, and we'll give us $200 million. We'll take the $100 million loss, but at least you're not losing $300 million.
That's definitely going to have to be something that's talked about, or like there's going to be certain probably things that like have to be met. Like if you get X amount of streams in a different time, we get like a bonus or something.
Right.
It's almost going to turn into a sports contract. It's something like that. I'm sure that's going to end up happening soon, for sure.
And I would assume that DC I think already has the deal with HBO Max.
DC does. So all like DC content that's like released thus far, like animated cartoons or like shows and film, will be on HBO Max.
So all that does is help you with increase your viewers.
For sure. I think that, given Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't supposed to release until June, and that's been postponed. So if that doesn't already kind of tell you what's going on here in terms of how long this is going to go.
Yeah, like how...
Like, you got... I think we're still only a month into this. I know it feels like it's been an eternity.
Right.
But this is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And this is going to be the year.
Right.
And I know that you're not hearing that too much. Yes, every couple of weeks you hear them extending it.
Right.
Like, it's going to be another 3 weeks, it's going to be another month. It's like, no vaccine, no gatherings. Like, that's the end of the story.
Right.
I think we'll definitely quell the amount of cases with isolating, and the heat might help with infection as well. But the disease is still there. It still has a 5 to 14 day incubation period. So you could be back here again in the deep summer, in deep spring, in deep fall, if we're not continuing to take these parameters to make sure that infections don't spread.
Right.
So when it comes to the films, I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you.
I think to me the biggest worry is that this is also preventing companies from creating content for us. Like Batman got pushed, we know that.
Right. Damn it.
So now that we know movies that were being made are being pushed.
Yeah.
We're gonna reach a point where there isn't new things if this continues. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, as film fans, like 2021 is fucked.
Yeah, because we're gonna probably get some of the older stuff that was already done that never got pushed out.
Right.
Unless if they don't go to streaming services,
which they should,
regardless.
I know, like Eternal. Again, I'm here like only speaking about comic book movies. I'm sorry, but that's what I love. Like Eternals, I know finished filming, so they're not supposed to release until the end of the year.
Right.
So maybe they see the light of day in a theater. The Fox New Mutants film, which I'm dying to see, has been postponed for almost 3 years now.
Right.
And that had to be moved. It would have released last weekend.
Right.
So that should release on Hulu or Disney Plus or something. I'm like, yeah, I think we're going to start hearing more and more about these films going to streaming in terms of the projects that were supposed to release last year.
Yeah.
Like, we're doomed. Like, they're going to be postponed for a really long time since production had to halt.
Right.
Crazy.
But it's like, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, our podcast is definitely going to turn into more episodes such as this, where we're raving about films from the past.
Hope the viewers are.
Which I'm fine with too, because I hope so too. But like that's the world we're in right now.
I mean, look, if there's anything that'll keep us entertained, it's movies from the past. There's literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of things we can talk about.
That's true.
From things that have already been released. So it's just a matter of getting used to, this process and seeing how it goes, and then just kind of waiting it out. And we don't really have a choice, like we did today. Like we talked for 30 minutes about Indiana Jones, or 20 minutes about Indiana Jones, and everything that it was about. And for next episode, I'm gonna probably watch something else. I might do Terminator, because I love those movies.
Well,
I could go on a rant about Terminator.
Right. Yeah. So I think for next week I'm gonna do Terminator. So I'm going to watch Terminator 1, 2. I don't think I'm going to watch all like
need
6.
to go into that.
But I know 2 is my favorite.
2 is my favorite too.
So I think I'll watch 1, 2, probably 3, maybe 4, and then just stop there because I think the newest one.
2 really was. I don't want to get into it right now because we'll talk about it next week. But 2 really was iconic.
Oh yeah, the time travel alone in these movies is so well done that it's just the whole thing is just awesome. But
it's such a in comics and fantasy fiction, like it's such a like it's been such a staple in that genre that kind of time travel for years. And I feel like Terminator 1, yes, but Terminator 2 also more so just really brought it to mainstream,
right? And
it was really cool to see.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other like side things or anything that we didn't talk about today?
Just if anyone's listening and they're interested, I'm not excited to see this as much as I'm curious to see how the hell it's going to work. But the cast of Saturday Night Live will be airing a new episode this Saturday, all via webcam.
That's very interesting.
Like via Zoom. So they're going to do skits, weekend update. What? It probably won't be a full hour, but they're going to be doing an episode this Saturday.
That's interesting. Definitely going to tune into that.
I definitely want to see how that works, the quality and all that stuff. But
because I mean, we know now that a lot of these, like we watched John Oliver did his from home.
Yeah, a lot of daytime talk shows are still doing
Ellen
their thing.
did hers from her home. So
it's
happening. Yeah. It's just,
but there's 17 cast members on SNL.
Yeah, where you're getting interesting is how they're going to do skits.
With the non-interactive skits is strange.
Yeah,
they'll probably I'm sure all 17 won't be on screen at the same time. They'll take some people off,
right?
And I bet they're trying. This is just me guessing. They might try to do home decoration or home costumes to get into the characters or try to fidget
they'll have had the costumes delivered to them or something,
maybe
right.
or they might keep it crude and like the crude might be an element for the humor.
The more crude, the better.
I mean, if they're doing crude costumes, that would be even funnier.
I think that would be even funnier. I think that's a great way to do that.
And you know what's great is that this is a good way also for them to get guests, like random guest celebrities. Because if they're doing this all from their house, everybody's
sure
at
everyone
home
has
just
some
chilling.
type of setup or some type of rig that they can get right into.
Like Alec, right? Alec Baldwin's going to try to come on because he's been on the show fucking 45 times.
Yeah,
these guys that are just always on.
The weekend update's going to be the easiest one to do, but I'm curious to see what they come up with, and I hope they can keep it going. But I think that's going to be something fun to see on Saturday. Tomorrow.
That's
Saturday.
Super interesting. We have I haven't watched the show, but I think we have just to kind of bring it up after a very long run, Modern Family ended on Wednesday. Schitt's Creek just ended. We have to watch that the last few episodes there.
Yep.
And I don't think I have. Oh, I did an update on Tiger King.
Big news on Tiger King.
I know that we have our Tiger King appreciation episode up. But I did read that it's Netflix the longest streak for number one streaming shows on Netflix is now Tiger King with 15 straight days at number one. Yeah. And
I have to. It's good, but I have to say, if there wasn't a pandemic, I don't think it would be doing that.
I agree with you on that.
I don't think so either. I think the pandemic also has helped it.
It's helped it for sure. Yeah.
And two, what was I going to say? Oh, so apparently the guy who created it at some point came out, or somebody close to him came out and said that they purposely left out racism and drug use from the documentary because so very obviously Joe was a huge racist.
Yeah, there's clips online you can see.
And I mean obviously again drug use is heavy.
Right. Meth mouth.
So the guy decided to take it out of the documentary because he thought if they kept that in there then people wouldn't watch it. Like people would stop watching it because they'd be like, well, I'm not going to watch this, this racist redneck doing drugs for 7 episodes. So that's why Joe kind of looked like not as bad of a guy because he purposely.
They almost kind of
he's not a good guy at all.
Hero-fied him. I don't know if that's a word or not, but
right. And that taking those two elements out automatically gives him a little bit of that like good guy nobility or something like edge. Right. But so then also the guy singing is not him.
I knew it. Too good of a voice.
I knew it. Right? Of course it wasn't.
He paid somebody and then like apparently he said he was going to pay somebody and didn't pay him, but that person did all the songs and all the singing. And
even for singing, that guy is not honest.
At least he wrote the tracks. He wrote the songs. He's got something.
Complete prick. He's just a complete prick.
Oh God!
And he's about to get a presidential pardon.
So I think. Yeah.
What?
When we've reached the point where Donald Trump, our president, is speaking about Tiger King and possibly getting him, looking at his case, then we've reached a weird time in our lives.
No, not weird time. There is people dying. Who gives a fuck?
Asked him during his last like brief, hey, your son was talking about trying to lobby you into giving this guy a pardon. Would you be interested? And he's like, what son? Was it Donnie? Sounds like Donnie. And he's like, well, what happened? Who's the Tiger King? And this guy gave him like a brief explanation. And he was like, all right, well, so did this girl kill him, or what's going on here? Like, what's the story? He's like, you know what? I'm gonna look into it. And
Bro,
it's like, here we go.
What do you mean you don't have time to look into it? Oh my God, we're doomed.
Yeah.
We're doomed.
This is where we're at, but we are not a political podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I think we're good, boys. I think we got a good full hour in. We'll come back next week. We'll talk some Terminator and whatever else happens over the next week.
All right.
Until next time.
All right, boys. See you later.